All right, let's dive right into the Shark Tank and break down a pitch that totally split the room. We're talking about a travel company called Capture a Trip. Now, they walked in with a huge valuation, all riding on this one big, bold idea, that in our super digital world, the most valuable thing you can actually sell is a real-life human connection.
And this was the question right at the heart of it all. See, Capture a Trip wasn't just selling tours or itineraries. No, they were selling a feeling, a community, a sense of connection, and most importantly, safety for people traveling alone. But can you really put a number on that? And were the sharks actually going to buy it?
Well, they sure tried to put a number on it. They came in asking for a valuation of 50 crore rupees. That's about $6 million US, a number that you can imagine made every shark in the room sit up straight and immediately set the stage for one heck of a negotiation. So, how on earth did they justify a number that big? Let's get into it.
To really get this company, you first have to understand the founder story. Because this isn't a business that was cooked up in some boardroom. Nope, it all started with a single, life-changing trip up a mountain.
So what is Capture a Trip, really? Okay, think less like a standard travel agency and more like a community architect. Their entire business is built around putting together these amazing group journeys for young and often solo Indian travelers. The focus isn't just, let's go see this place, it's all about the experience and, crucially, the people you share it with. It's about creating a safe, social vibe from start to finish.
And the backstory is pretty compelling. The founder, Nitin Khanna, actually quit his IT job after that trek we mentioned because he wanted to help other people find that same feeling of connection. Their whole mission is to make travel feel less scary, especially for women, who actually make up almost half their customers. And they're not just starting out. They've already served over 50,000 travelers. So they walked into the tank with a big ask, 75 lakhs for just 1.5% of their company.
But that huge valuation, yeah, it was met with some serious pushback, and fast. The initial buzz in the room pretty quickly soured into some major skepticism as the sharks started poking holes in the whole business model.
And this is where you could just feel the room split right down the middle. On one side, you had the skeptics. They were worried about scaling, about safety, about the risk of scandals, the tough stuff. And on the other side, you had the believers. They saw a massive opportunity in what we call the experience economy. They got that for younger folks, memories are the new currency.
And the I'm outs started flying. Namita Thapar just couldn't see how this high-touch personal business could ever get big enough for venture capital. Aman Gupta was super direct. He was worried about a Kand, basically a major scandal or a safety disaster that could just obliterate the brand's reputation overnight. And Anupam Mittal, he just didn't like the business itself, calling it a low-margin, high-effort service model.
So just when it looked like this deal was completely dead in the water, two sharks saw things in a totally different light. Kunal Bahl and Mohit Yadav. They looked right past all those operational risks and saw something powerful. A company perfectly in tune with a massive cultural shift. And this was their whole argument, right here. This one idea. They understood that the customer isn't just buying a vacation package. They're buying a story. They're buying an identity. They're buying a memory. So in their eyes, Capture a Trip wasn't really in the travel business. They were in the memory-making business. And that, my friends, is a very, very valuable business to be.
And you know what? The numbers absolutely back them up. A wild 94% of Indian travelers are now actively looking for meaningful travel. People are over just hopping from one landmark to the next. They want connection, they want wellness, they want real experiences. This isn't some tiny niche market anymore. This is the new mainstream.
And that mainstream trend? It comes with a massive price tag. We're talking about a projected 45 times billion-dollar market in India, and this is exactly why the pitch was so polarizing. While some sharks saw a small, risky service company, Kunal and Mohit saw a brand that was perfectly positioned to grab a huge slice of an absolutely enormous and growing pie.
So who's driving this whole trend?
Yep.
Exactly who Capture a Trip is built for. Over 80% of their customers are millennials and Gen Z. These are the generations that grew up online, and now they're craving authentic, real-world experiences, and they are more than willing to pay for them.
So, with two sharks on the hook, the game was officially on. But there was still that giant elephant in the room, that 50 crore valuation. And this is where the real Shark Tank drama kicked off.
Man, this negotiation was intense. It was a total roller coaster. The founders started way up high at 50 crore. The sharks came back with a brutal counteroffer that valued the company at just 10 crore.
I mean, they slashed the valuation by 80%. But the founders, they held their ground, they argued their case, and eventually everyone met in the middle. The final deal landed at a 15 crore valuation.
And with that, after a wild ride of skepticism, belief, and some seriously tough negotiation, they got their deal. A handshake that meant so much more than just money. It meant getting the strategic partners they came for.
But, as we all know, getting the investment is really just the starting line. So what did that final deal actually look like? And how are they planning to use it to tackle all those real problems the other sharks brought up?
So here's where they landed. Kunal, Bahl, and Mohit Yadav teamed up. They invested the 75 lakhs the founders wanted from the start, but for a much bigger piece of the pie, 5% equity in the company. And that locked in that final hard-fought valuation of 15 crore rupees.
Now this is the really smart part, their plan to deal with all those risks. To handle Aman's safety concerns, they're creating a gold standard safety audit. To fix the money issues, they're going to focus on more profitable international trips. And to solve Namita's big scalability question, tech. They're going to use technology to streamline everything and eventually grow into a global community platform.
And this isn't just talk. They have a clear roadmap to justify that valuation and go way, way higher. Year 1 is all about getting their finances healthy. Year 2 is the big tech push, launching their own app to really lock in that community. And by year 3, it's all about scaling up, becoming a global brand by licensing their model out. It's ambitious for sure, but it proves they're thinking big.
Which brings us right back to that huge, central question. The entire success of Capture a Trip really hangs on this one belief, that as our lives get more and more digital, the value of real, genuine, curated human connection will only go up. So, is that a bet you would take? That's all for this one. Thanks for tuning in.